Alrighty, people, we are now less than, well, a little over 24 hours out from the start of week 9. We appreciate you for being here with us. Lots to get through today. We'll be answering a ton of questions. I'm not sure there's any breaking news that we have to talk about that we haven't already discussed. Bryce Young has been named the starter for the Panthers. That really isn't that big of a deal. Keaton Mitchell is practicing in full, so he's been one of my favorite stashes. I definitely stash him. The entire Jacksonville Jaguars organization was limited in practice, in case anybody cares. Tyrone Tracy's still in concussion protocol. DK Metcalf isn't practicing. Remains optimistic that he'll play in week 9. So I think that's pretty much it, unless I'm missing something. Jordan Love has not participated. They're optimistic he can play, but there's no updates as to that right now. Also, I found this quite funny. Jacina Anderson reported that Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman will remain the Ravens' top wide receivers following the Diontae Johnson trade. I'm not sure I believe that. I'm not sure Rashad Bateman is going to play over Diontae Johnson. Maybe that's the case in week 1. But you guys can hear our opinions on that whole trade yesterday. I hated it for Diontae Johnson. But Sal was the first one to reply, by the way. He was a top comment on there and said that's bait because he has Diontae Johnson in the Flock League. Obviously, that would be terrible if it's true. I don't think it's true. It doesn't make any sense. So that's pretty much all the news, I would say. We are going to start, as always, every single stream that we do, we will start answering questions through the website. All right, if you want to get your questions in and prioritize before every stream or during every stream, check out our website. You can check out a pinned comment in the chat. I also just put it in the chat for you again. But you can see all these people here ready to go, ready to get their questions answered. And what's great about the website is you don't have to wait around for your super chat to be answered, for example. Our website will automatically send you a time code to exactly when we answered your question, and you can watch it at your convenience. It'll take you to a little site, the link below, that looks like this. You can get a team review, trade questions, start sit, a super message, whatever your heart desires, you can get. And I will say, if you don't have a free account on Flock Fantasy just yet, definitely go get you one. Flockfantasy.com/land. Make sure you use a promo code LAND at sign up. And when you do, you're going to get a couple things for free just by becoming a member. For example, the My Teams feature, the expert consensus rankings, the trade calculator. And then as long as you have a league with Sleeper, ESPN, or Yahoo, you can enter your team to see where you rank amongst expert rankings. And yeah, it'll be a great opportunity for you to kind of have a look at some of those for free. And then the great part is once you actually link up your league, you can go to any of these questions and it makes it so easy to ask a question. For example, the Flock League, it automatically links up all my settings. I hit continue if I want to do a start sit question. All I have to do is choose one player on my team, and then I can tell you all the players that I'm considering at every single position. It just makes your life so easy. You go through every position, tell us exactly what you're thinking, give us as much information as possible, and then once we're there, we can answer that question for you. Again, I'll put the link in the chat to ask the questions. You can super chat, but we will get to those after the website questions. And just know that YouTube does take 30% of your donation. 30% of the donation that your intention is to help us as creators. And YouTube takes 30% of that, so just be aware. All right, we're not going to start with the team review. Those are very time intensive. Let's start with the trade question from Manny. Why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, I appreciate you, Manny. Thank you so much. He says, playoff-wise, should I do this or wait 1 to 2 weeks? Okay, so you are sending away Jordan Love, Devon Achane, Jaden Reed, and you're getting Kyler Murray, James Conner, and Puka Nacua. I like having Puka there for sure. I'd rather have Puka over Jaden Reed. I'd rather have Devon over James Conner. And I think Jordan Love, I think that's kind of a wash, personally.
I agree, but I think the biggest issue is moving from Connor to HN. And I do love Connor's playoff schedule. You know what I mean? Like, his playoff schedule looks hot. Made a video about that today. But HN looks like the definition of a league winner rest of season. So I'd be hesitant to give up on HN. in this deal. It's a 14-team start 7.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I would just keep what you have because I think Jordan Love does have, when healthy, I think he's a top 5 quarterback, averaging nearly 20 plus points per game. He's throwing nearly 2 touchdowns per game. Devon looks completely different with Tua, and if he just stays healthy, Jordan Love and the Jaden Reed connection is not going to be anywhere near the Puka and Matthew Stafford connection, but at least that's going to be evened out with Devon. And Jaden Reed has, in my opinion, I feel like still a safe floor. I know like these, I think he had one game under 5 points. He had a game of 7 points this past week, but I don't think that is kind of a realistic floor. I think his floor is more of 10 to 11 points. We saw that with Malik Willis, where he was scoring more points with them at the time. So I personally would just hold on to your side right now.
It's really a dead even trade. I honestly think you can make a case for either side. I just think the most valuable player in this deal is probably Achane, but there's definitely could be a point where Puka like equals value as far as like overall value. So it's pretty close. I'm gonna say both people are pretty damn even there. I don't have a strong opinion. I really think that's an even deal. All right, we got a start sit question here from Crush 5.
Appreciate you, man.
2 quarterback, 12 team start 10. You got Lamar, Trevor. At running back, we are considering names like Tyrone and Tony Pollard. I would start Pollard this week. Really like his matchup versus the Patriots. One of my favorite plays. Do like Tyrone versus Washington, but it's actually interesting, man. If you look at Washington, I know they started the year as like one of those teams that you targeted, but as of recently, they've been a terrible matchup for running backs and wide receivers. In the last 4 weeks, Washington is kind of middle of the pack against running backs. They're bottom 3rd. And then against wide receivers in the last 4 weeks, Washington is the 2nd worst matchup for wide receivers in that time span. So their defense is really starting to figure a lot of stuff out. As good as their offense is, last time out versus the Bears, the defense kept them in it. And I go Tony over Olmate there. So, but at the flex, we might have to make that decision anyway. So who are you flexing here between Tyrone, Keenan, Sutton? To me, this is probably Sutton and Tracy this week. If Tracy plays, I am totally fine to put him out there. He's clearly the dude in that offense. And then Sutton versus the Ravens, best matchup in fantasy right now. Bo Nix on a heater. I feel good about that matchup. One of my favorite plays this week as well. So that's where I would lean. And yeah.
Yeah, I would go Tyrone, and then I would most likely be going Rome. I think even with Malik Willis, I think what we have been seeing with Malik, if he does play hypothetically, it was just 2 matchups that they had the edge on. This is a game where he's going to have to score. He's going to have to throw the ball. He's probably going to make mistakes. And I think we'll probably see his highest pass attempts if he does play this week. And Romeo, has been one of the top targets there. So I'm going Tyrone and then Romeo Dobbs. And even if Jordan Love plays, I think even more reasons to start him. So that's where I would go.
Yeah, I can respect that. If in my mind Jordan Love's not playing, and if he isn't, I just would not start most of those receivers. Maybe Jaden Reed's the one you manufacture touches for, but for me, Romeo Dobbs, it relies on a lot of deep targets, and I just don't think you can replicate that with Malik Neighbors. Funnily enough, the best receiver when
Malik Willis,
Malik Willis. When Malik Willis was starting, the best receiver was actually Dontavion Wicks for this team. But yeah, you got 2 different opinions there. Once you hear the take. All right, D. Joseph Giovino.
Here we go.
This person sounds like their family owns and operates a pizzeria in Chicago for the last 50 years. And you can't convince me that they don't.
In Chicago. Why Chicago specifically?
Giovino. What do you mean?
Is that
where
Chicago?
our Italian brothers are from. There's got a lot of Italians in Chicago.
I'm not saying there isn't, but I've never been to Chicago, so I don't know.
Oh, well, you're missing out. Chicago is an awesome city.
Shout out to Ye. Trade thoughts. 25 first is mid, 26 first is late. Thanks. So you send away Martin Harrison and Brock Bowers. You get a 26 mid first, 26 late first, and then you get a 25 mid.
This isn't close. I love Rashee Rice, but this isn't close. I mean, a mid first and a late first. And it looks like you only put 2 firsts in there.
I would say like you have to think of Brock Bowers as what Sam Laporta was last year. What's crazy is that there's no weapons around him either. I know you have Jacoby Myers, all due respect, but like I think what we saw from Sam Laporta last year is what Brock Bowers is doing now. Last year though, Sam Laporta had Amon-Ra, had Jahmyr Gibbs, and David Montgomery. Brock Bowers is most likely going to be the engine of this team unless they go out and draft another top wide receiver or trade for one. I think he's most likely worth 2 firsts himself. And I think Marvin, you just drafted him as a top 3, top 5 prospect.
I'd probably need 3 firsts for each of these names to move.
That's what I say. Who's probably also worth 2 firsts there. So like you're still not even getting enough firsts back.
No, I'm saying 3 firsts per player. I think all these players are worth 3 firsts. How young they are, how we profiled them coming out of college, their draft capital. So, no, I get the idea, but no, I'm not going to get rid of those players. And I love Rashee Rice, but Rashee Rice is someone you should be able to acquire at a discount, you know, not sending some of the best players at positions, true cornerstones. Yeah. It's Dev says, hurting at tight end wide receiver. Hopefully this helps. Sends away Love, Bigsby, Fant, gets back Marvin and Kmet. And overall, I'm totally fine with this deal. Tight ends, I don't really like starting either of these tight ends, so that's a wash. My question is, do I want Marvin or Love and Bigsby? I want Marvin. I'll go stream the quarterback position, and I can't find a Marvin Harrison Jr. on the waiver wire. And when Travis Etienne's back, I'm really not sure I'm going to want to start Tank Bigsby much longer. So I'll say he's better, but I just don't think it's going to be as simple as people think it will be. So I'm going to pretty comfortably take the Marvin side.
Yeah, I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this trade. I think that's pretty fair there. If you do need a tight end for a couple weeks and you get a top wide receiver, Bengals fan since 05.
05. Ride or die, baby.
Laporta or Dobbs, any other of his wide receivers instead. Well, I still want Sam Laporta over Romeo. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I'm still not bought in that it's just Romeo Dobbs wide receiver 1 season rest of the year. I still think this team's going to spread the ball around, and I still believe that Jayden Reed will be the wide receiver you want to own when all is said and done. And you know, I did just release that trade for video on the channel today, and pretty much I think the top comment was that nobody wants Reed because Romeo Dobbs is getting all the targets or something like that. So I still believe rest of season you're going to want Jayden Reed when it matters in the playoffs, and I don't believe that just because Dobbs cried for targets means that now this team is only going to cater towards him. Sure, I'm sure they want to make him happy, but ultimately I just don't believe that. Like, if you can do this for Reed, I would do it. I wouldn't do it for Dobbs still, though.
Yeah, I agree. And look, I think Dobbs is going to be part of this offense, but I think the wide receiver 2 own is Jayden Reed, so I definitely agreed with you. Other wide receivers on this team that you can potentially do this for, honestly, like
Marvin or Devonta, right?
Yeah, I'm looking at the top wide receivers, but like I know this guy is probably trying to get Sam Laporta on the low to send you Romeo because he hasn't really been performing right now. I mean, Sam Laporta tied in 17 on the year, and you probably drafted him in that 2nd or 3rd round. So he's just trying to get a high upside player, and he just had a good week as well.
Send him Sutton and Laporta, get back Marvin, or do the same deal and get back Devonta Smith. Devonta Smith's playoff schedule is very, very interesting. So either of those deals, I think, are really great options for you. Again, Sutton, Laporta for Marvin, or Sutton, Laporta for Smith. I think those are the 2 things that make a lot of sense for you. And you don't need Laporta because you have Pitts, so I like that. I like this idea, but I don't like the execution, because if you add Romeo Dobbs to your team, like in a start, are you starting him over Higgins or Debo? No, probably not. I mean, there's weeks you're not sure if you start him over Shakir. Are you going to flex him over Tyrone Tracy? I don't know that that's the answer. I think you need a clear upgrade. personally.
I agree. And I know you're probably trying to sell Sam Laporta because you have Kyle Pitts, but you should be getting a haul essentially, or not a haul, but just some value. And Romeo is just not the value that you want right now.
Yeah, not
So,
in my
but
opinion.
we appreciate you.
By the way,
next,
I just
go
want to
ahead.
quickly say we get this question very often. This is from BK. Have it your way. Am I right? But we get this question often, like, can you link the NFL.com fantasy app on the Flock site? And
Yeah.
the answer is no, but the reason isn't that we haven't tried. The reason is that the NFL.com app, respectfully, is completely incompetent. Number one, they haven't really upgraded their app at all in the last, like, 10 years. 10 years ago, NFL.com app was one of the best fantasy apps out there. They don't invest into it. They don't invest into content. The NFL doesn't invest into that space really at all. And unfortunately, the NFL.com app is the only public fantasy app that doesn't give public information out to people. Every other app in fantasy football, you can access a bunch of public information about all the leagues that are in that app. So that's, for example, how we pull stuff from Sleeper and ESPN and Yahoo, etc. But for whatever reason, NFL.com, even though they don't invest into the app at all, thinks that their information is so valuable that they will not share it to the general public. So just so you guys know, if you're on NFL.com, another reason to switch to Sleeper. We're not even sponsored by Sleeper, but it's embarrassing the amount of reasons not to use NFL.com at this point. So yeah, so hopefully that helps. Again, I wish they would make their information public, but for some reason they don't. So that's the answer there, BK. Unfortunately, I wish it was different, but yeah, is what it is. All right, Frodo1484. And by the way, we have had people submit team reviews. They just upload screenshots. So anyway,
Yeah,
if that's something that you're looking to do,
it's definitely possible with the NFL with the screenshots. Just know that. And we are happy to review those teams as well. So just let us know if you have any other questions. But yes, Frodo is next. He says, "Thank you." Notes: B. Rob and Pittman questionable. Defense Vikings, and you have kicker as Justin Tucker. Okay.
yeah,
So
I went in the backyard, by the way, yesterday, and this is for the Flock League. Recorded a video because I thought, how hard could kicking be? How hard can it really be? Because Justin Tucker's lost his touch. I mean, the guy's missing these layups that he used to have. And let me tell you something. I think kicking might be one of the hardest jobs in the NFL. Like, that is not easy to do. I don't even know if I could make a 30-yard field goal. I'm not even sure I could do that. I think my percentage of accuracy on a 30-yard kick might be in the range of like 10%. I'm not even kidding you guys. It's way harder than it looks. Just the pure velocity, the arc that you have to get is, I don't think people realize how hard it is. But
I can do it. I can do it. Oh, maybe
you
I'll record a
definitely
video.
could not. Absolutely not.
Frodo, why would you say that?
You're more of a lineman. Yeah, I mean, you could definitely be an offensive lineman.
Is that what you're saying? Oh, so I have a little bit more weight, so I can't kick a ball.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
Exactly. Well, what kicker do you know that is, you know?
Oh, there was some big kickers in the past. Wasn't there was a big boy back in the day called he played for the Raiders. What was his name?
Janikowski was not that big.
He don't matter. He was big. He was
No.
an above average weight kicker.
Unfortunately, you know how you go
he
to
was probably the biggest kicker in the league, and he
you
was
go to
arguably the
Disneyland.
best.
You can't ride every ride because of a height requirement as a kid. Unfortunately for kicker, there are certain positions where you have to be a certain weight. Deal with it.
Not for Janikowski.
Janikowski was not that big.
He was kicking it though.
I mean, you'd make more money as an offensive lineman anyway, or a defensive lineman.
I mean, they making more money than me regardless, so I don't care what I'm playing. Quarterback Jalen Hurts,
Call of Duty.
Jahmyr Gibbs, Aaron Jones. Wide receivers, you considering DeAndre Hopkins, Ladd McConkey, Cedric Tillman, Tank Dell, Michael Pittman. For me, this will be Tank Dell with CeeDee Lamb there at the tight end position,
Okay,
Kyle Pitts or
just
Travis
quickly,
Kelce.
Jump in because I see it differently. I would go Ladd McConkey there. I'm not anti-Tank Dell, but I almost feel like he needs Nico Collins back, and I don't know if that's true or not. I just have this feeling that, like, respectfully, what else are the Jets going to try and shut down? What are they gonna look at Robert Woods or Dalton Schultz? Are they gonna focus in on Xavier Hutchinson? They should, because Xavier Hutchinson's a damn freak. Watch out, okay? But I just don't know what else they have to focus on defensively outside of Tank Dell, so that concerns me a lot. I would go Lad McConkey there myself. Coming off a heater, playing the Cleveland Browns, a team that is able to put up points, scored a season high in points just last year, or last week. So I'll go Lad, but it might not matter when we look at the flex. Sorry, at tight end you were going Kelsey, I assume?
Yeah, I'm still gonna go Kelsey. Playing Monday night at home should be a great game for those guys. And then
So
you
I
start
guess-
Brian Robinson. I would say.
I guess that's the question we have to ask. Are you starting Brian Robinson over Lad, and am I starting Brian Robinson over Tank Dell? And
Nah.
my answer would be yes. I'd start Brian Robinson. Actually, to be honest, I'd start Michael Pittman over all those names. With against the Vikings, best matchup in fantasy football, gets Joe Flacco. So it would actually be Pittman over Brian Robinson for me, a top 24 play this week, top 25 range, I think.
Yeah, I think both are great. Obviously, Brian Robinson is playing the Giants, who just historically gives up so many points to the Washington Commanders in fantasy. But yeah, look, I'm happy with Brian Robinson or Michael Pittman, however way you want to go. This is a full PPR, so Michael Pittman could be the guy to start over Brian Robinson at the flex. But I'm going to be going Tank Dell. So
Yeah.
hopefully that
Two
helps.
different opinions, and hopefully that's helpful. You know, that's what you guys typically get when you come to the channel. Appreciate you, Frodo. By the way, we have a like goal today of 75 likes. With your help, I am so confident that we can get there. Do us a favor and smash that like button. Such a simple way for you to help this channel grow. Currently, I think at 30, so 75 is definitely doable.
Yeah.
By the way, BK said, appreciate that answer from y'all. The NFL app sucks sometimes. I use the NFL app for my oldest league, but the other leagues are on Sleeper and ESPN.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no
I mean,
worries.
it's fine.
No
Like,
worries.
it's a usable app, but it just, I don't understand why they don't give their information publicly. All right, trying to champ up 44. First off, $21 start sit donation. I mean, he showed some love. Let's show him some love back. I want to give him a start sit for free, a little voucher there as a thank you. So you've got that in your inbox now of trying to champ up. Appreciate you, man. But 4-4 team is finally forming, but Gino Reed, Amon Raddell have been doing me dirty. Should I trade up 2-for-1, get another top wide receiver? For example, Dell or Tracy. So at quarterback, Are you starting May or Gino if May plays?
I'm going to be going Drizzy.
Okay, Gino faces the Rams. We've got May versus the Tennessee Titans. I will lean Gino there. I don't think May's going to play after the concussion.
Yeah, I
think
was just
so. I
gonna.
think that'll be
I was just gonna
figured
look
out
that
for you.
up. And look, I'll give you my reason behind, just so you have a little more context behind why I'm going Drake May. I know the Titans are technically a bad matchup, but Geno Smith has been struggling. They can't get the ball down the field. They really barely have been scoring. And if it has been scoring, they've just been rushing the ball down. They haven't been, producing big plays with DK Metcalf not being there, and it was most likely going to miss this week against the Rams. This is a divisional game that's probably going to be a better high-scoring game. You kind of hope and expect, but I'd just rather go with the young gun when Drake May. When he is on the field, when he is healthy, he is scoring the ball, and he did that against Jacksonville. He was doing that really well against the Jets, and he was running the ball as well, and then he gets injured. So if he does play, I'll go Tennessee, or Drake May versus Tennessee.
And then we have to figure out the flex here between names like Dell, McMillan, Downs, Reed, Tyrone. For me, the answer is Josh Downs. You'll see him on a video tomorrow. I am going to tell a lot of people to start Josh Downs. A lot of people I'm going to tell to start Josh Downs.
A lot of people.
An unhealthy amount of people, to the point where if Josh Downs busts, it'll be, I'll get a lot of hate. So I'm okay with that, but love Josh Downs this week versus the Vikings. Best matchup in fantasy. Joe Flacco playing, so he'd be my choice there.
Yeah, this would be Jaden Reed for me. Obviously, if Jordan Love plays, I think maybe Zach would say the same thing if Jordan Love does play, but obviously he's probably not saying that because he's not expecting him to play. But yes, then I do like Josh Downs. If not, then Tank Dell. But Jaden Reed, Downs, and then Tank Dell in that order.
And he asked if he should do like a 2-for-1 deal to get another top receiver. If you can pull off something where you package Like, hopefully Dell goes off for you this week and you can use him in a deal. I honestly wouldn't trade Downs. I think he's a legit guy rest of season, but I think you could use, like, I'd almost use Tank in a 12-team start 7. I'd almost use Tank and Geno to go get a top quarterback like a Lamar. You know, I'd almost go that way. I feel like your flex is pretty good already with Josh Downs or Tank Dell or Reed.
With Reed, exactly. I mean, unless you package Jaden Reed and Tank Dell and see if you can go even higher, you know, like you really go for the heavy hitter if that's possible.
Like a Nico Collins or something before he comes back.
Yeah, I mean, try and get one of those guys. I doubt you can get the Amon-Ra's, the Malik Neighbors, from maybe a Reed and a Dell. Maybe you can, but that's kind of where I would be doing. What I will be doing, because then, like, if you do get rid of those guys, you have McMillan, you still have Tyrone, who's a good guy, and you still have Josh Downs to start if it doesn't work out. So,
and like you said, Tyrone's a good guy, just a good person. So
just a great guy. Yeah, I mean, that's what you want.
So yeah, that's how I would operate personally. Like I said, if you do make a move, you need to go get like a heavy hitter, like a Nico, like a Tyreek, like one of these top names. Otherwise, you've already got really good flexible options with Reed and Downs. But if I could turn, you know, Tank and Geno into a better quarterback, I probably would do that. But overall, appreciate you, man. Thanks for the question. Dak with a super message says traded Walker and Adams for Amon-Ra. Okay, traded Ken Walker and Devontae Adams for Amon-Ra. I have Nico on IR. Should I try to sell Amon-Ra for CD? If you can get CD, we would do that in a heartbeat. We'd rather have CD Lamb.
Yeah.
The reality with Amon-Ra is he is going to be an incredible option, but he's just not a top 3 finisher this year. Because think about it, on a week-to-week basis, think about the game script for the Lions. They are either going to be rushing for a bunch of touchdowns, or they won't need to throw the ball, or in competitive games, they will absolutely dominate with Amon-Ra, or there will be some times when Jameson Williams gets 6 targets and Laporta gets 6 targets and Amon-Ra's there with 4. So it's not exactly the same script as it was last year for Amon-Ra. If we're being 100% honest with ourselves, I'm not so sure Amon-Ra gets drafted over the Bijans and the Breece Halls if we redid a draft. He's been great, don't get me wrong, but you have 3 games that you're probably pretty disappointed with, and you have 4 games with 6 or fewer targets. Now, if we look at the rest of his schedule, like Jacksonville, are they going to need to throw? In the playoffs versus Chicago, San Francisco, Minnesota, all those games I think they'll need to throw, which is great. But overall, CeeDee Lamb is probably going to average around 9 to 10 targets per game rest of the way. And I just don't know that I could say that about Amon-Ra.
Yeah, I mean, I'm there with you. I love CeeDee Lamb. They're going to continue to do his thing. And that offense is struggling. And the way they should have played in like that fourth quarter game is the way they should play every single quarter for the rest of the year.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways.
Appreciate you, Dak. We do have more questions, by the way. I just need to refresh the page. We do have a team review, which maybe we'll get to at the end of the stream. But we do have some more start-sit questions. First one here is from JTR Riolo 10. Okay. And by the way, guys, if you want to get your questions answered, definitely check out the pinned comment in the chat. I'll put it in there again to the website. Shout out to D. Macy, one of our great longtime supporters in the chat. And Brizzleton Jones, who says the Space Creator. If you don't know, that was my nickname for Lab McConkey in the pre-draft process. Great to see him doing his thing. Go ahead and with this next question, though.
Yeah, he says crazy to do 2 tight ends. My other wide receivers don't impress me right now. All right, so let's see. You're considering Matthew Stafford and Baker Mayfield. I think this week would be great to start Matthew Stafford.
I agree.
Personally,
Baker's got a tough one versus the Chiefs.
Yeah. You start Breece Hall, no question, with Dave Montgomery. Starting Puka, Drake London, TJ Hawkinson with Cedric Tillman and Cade Otton. So you're questioning, do you start 2 tight ends with...
It's basically... Otton/TJ in the flex, or one of the other names like a Bigsby, JSN, McMillan, and I would I'm
I'm
definitely
not.
starting Auten over TJ, by the way, for me.
That's what I was gonna say. I'm definitely starting on over TJ. I'm not sure I want to throw in TJ. I need to see it first. Not saying that he can't have a good game.
Yeah.
I think I would rather get this safe floor and maybe what Jackson can bring me in a 10 point, 9 point, 12 point type of floor. And there's still no DK Metcalf in the game that, once again, should be a high scoring game, or there should be a lot of passing opportunities. So I would go Jackson Smith and Jigba over
I think
TJ Hawkinson in the flex.
if Etienne misses time, I think Bigsby's probably the best answer. But if Etienne is back, I think JSN presents the safest floor over
Yeah.
TJ, and then I would play Auten at the tight end spot. What I will say is, if McMillan is out there on the waiver wires, I would really, really suggest you guys to go pick him up, because watching that game again and watching some all 22 on it, which is great that DAZN has that, he could have had a huge day. He could have had a massive, massive day. I mean, there were multiple 2 to 3 routes where he was butt-ass naked down the field, and Baker either didn't look at him or threw behind him,
He's
not
naked.
in stride. There was obviously the interception Baker threw, but Jalen McMillan beat his man. It just wasn't deep enough. And then the other ball was he had double coverage, and he beat them down the field, and he was in the back of the end zone in stride, and Baker overthrew him again. So we know Baker's been playing really well. I would suggest picking up McMillan, but yeah, that's how we'd play it here. Again, it wouldn't be Hawkinson, but we'd put Auten and then JSN. But if Etienne's out, Bigsby.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Brizzleton here, start sit question, says, I need a flex option. Reed, Tracy, Waddle, or Parker. So we're starting Goff. I would start Darnold over Goff, I think, this week. Let me double check. Yeah, Goff
I would
versus
start
Green
Darnold over
Bay,
Goff.
Darnold versus the Colts. I'm going to start Darnold, especially with Flacco on the opposite side now.
Yeah, I completely agree. Obviously, you're starting DK, most likely won't play. So what I would do is put Jalen Waddle in that position, and if DK does play, and Jordan Love doesn't play for Jaden Reed, then you can start DK in that flex position. If not, I would then be looking at a Tyrone Tracy if he does play, and if he doesn't play, I'm going Jalen McMillan, or actually, I'm still going Jaden Reed over McMillan with or without Jordan Love. So that's basically how I'm gonna break it down. Let's start it off from the top. Jaden Reed, you would start if Jordan Love plays. If Jordan Love doesn't play and DK does play, you start DK. And that's it.
Yeah. I'll just go through it quickly for me. If DK plays, you play him at your wide receiver 2 spot over Waddle. And then on your bench, if Love plays, Reed is your best flex over Waddle. And if Love doesn't play, I'll play Waddle over Reed. Lots of words there. Hopefully that is helpful. Yeah. Great
Lots of
squad,
words.
though. I mean, you could be another team that could look at consolidation. For example, a Reed plus a Waddle and go get a top 8 name type vibe. Appreciate you, Brizzleton.
Thank you so much.
Zendaya's in the chat. No, Zendez says, just traded Kyler and Reed for Hurts, Devonta. Good move. Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
I'm totally fine with that. I feel like you got the upgrade at quarterback, and Hurts, Devonta, and Reed are kind of a wash in my humble opinion. But we've got Jalen Hurts starting, Devon Achane at RB2.
Ooh.
Probably have to put Chubb out there. I honestly hate Nick Chubb this week, but I think that's your only option. At wide receivers, Chase, Smith, then Kelsey, and then at the flex, man, your team is so good, but just hurt. So when CMC's back, this team is going to take a huge leap. Same with when Mike Evans is back.
Yeah. I am going to go with. I'm looking at McMillan and Romeo. Sorry, and Roma Dunze. I'm just gonna go with McMillan. This should be a game where they'd be down. My expectation, but Baker still has been doing decent. Zach was just breaking it down. You know, he could have had a big game. It's not the best matchup for wide receivers or just in general because of the Chiefs. So I'm going to go McMillan there.
I think McMillan will be the most needed name. Look, Rome could break out any day, but it's just it's just so like it's what we said in the Dynasty draft season. It's just like, how are you supposed to have consistency with those names? So yeah, that's my answer. Daniel 007 says, "Sup, gents, dropping Tua to pick up Nix. Thoughts?" I honestly don't dislike this at all. I picked up Bo Nix in the Flock League. I'm rostering 3 quarterbacks right now. Quite frankly, like, full transparency, our waiver wire is dog shit anyway. So it's not like there's a bunch of good running backs or wide receivers I'm missing out on. Our waiver wire is completely butt-ass naked. But I love Bo Nix. Love him this week versus Baltimore. I'm not even sure if I start Bo Nix or Joe Mixon yet. I'm not sure what my answer is at this very moment here in week number 9.
Joe Burrow?
But yeah, Joe Burrow or Bo Nix. But on the trade video I made today, I talked about Bo Nix. His schedule for the playoffs is really, really favorable. He gets the Colts, the Bengals, the Chargers. A lot of teams that you can score fantasy points on. So, yeah, I mean, I don't mind it. He's got that rushing upside. Tua does not. Certainly after the injury, Tua doesn't have the rushing upside. So, I don't think it's crazy. I really don't.
I agree. I don't think it's crazy. I like Bo Nix. I mean, we were both really high on Bo Nix coming out of college. And
Look at us.
We are seeing the fruits of that, ladies and gentlemen. We're not taking the victory lap, but get him a top wide receiver 1. Get him a top wide receiver in this league. What's Bo Nix looking like next year?
Let Troy Franklin. Just let him.
Oh, boy. I'm excited.
Yeah. And if Bo Nix
I got a lot of Bo Nix, by the way. Sorry.
Yeah. If Bo Nix busts, then we'll be set. But no, yeah. I think he looks great, man. I mean, the dude is a top 7 quarterback since week 3 onwards. All right. Next one is Mekon123. It's a start sit, and they said, "Would you play Stafford over both of my quarterbacks?" And their other options are Nix and Love. I'll say this: if Love plays, I think it has to be Love over Stafford. And respectfully for me versus the Ravens, if Love doesn't play, I would play Bo Nix over Matthew Stafford personally. Bo Nix is coming off his best ever game. Yes, it was versus the Carolina Panthers. I don't want to talk him up too much, but it's versus the Baltimore Ravens this week. One of the best matchups for your wide receivers and quarterbacks. And yeah, I just feel fairly confident. He scored over 21 points in a 4-point passing touchdown league in 3 out of the last 4 weeks. So yeah, the answer would be, I mean, there's going to be a lot of sweet garbage time. I'm going to go Nix over Stafford if that's your best option, and Love if he plays.
Yeah, for me, I can completely understand Bo Nix, and we just talking him up. I'm gonna go Matthew Stafford with both Puka and Cooper Kupp back. Matthew Stafford's back.
Sure.
And I just feel really confident and happy in this matchup. Not saying Bo Nix doesn't have a good matchup.
It's okay. Just say
against the Ravens. It's just like,
just denounce your loyalty here live.
I just would rather start Matthew Stafford this week. Fine. Still love Bo Nix. But yes, if Jordan Love plays, you play him. So
we've got Breece Hall, Achane, Neighbors at wide receiver. We are going to be starting Davante Adams still. Yes, I know it's not been good. I'm still going to start Davante Adams. I don't see them not figuring it out at some point. And then I guess the question, Badaki, for you is Tank Dell or Jalen Waddle, because for me it's definitely Waddle. Again, not anti-Dell. I see a scenario where he is shut down completely, and that scares me. Like we can make the case that a bunch of targets and stuff are there, but he's the only thing they need to shut down. I'll go Waddle. How about you?
Yeah, this will be Waddle for me as well. Okay. I just like that matchup a little bit better personally, and that's another high-scoring game.
Yeah, and also you have to think about this: if you're starting Schultz, Adams, and Tank Dell all on Thursday Night Football, there's a chance you're depressed for 2 days until the weekend comes. So I don't like to bet too much on that. All right, we've got a super message here from Joviand C. Bond. That's fancy. Trying to decide on my flex. I have Wan'Dale Robinson, Tank, McMillan, Jacoby, Tracy. Should I swap Josh Downs for any of them or sit Devontae? Okay, so in the flex, they have Wan'Dale, Tank, McMillan, Jacoby, Tracy. I would start Josh Downs over all the names that you just mentioned. Yeah, I would start Josh Downs over all the names you just mentioned, and I would play Davante Adams over all the names you just mentioned. So my top two
Agreed.
would be
Agreed.
Devontae, Downs. Yeah. And then the Chargers are Vikings defense this week. Vikings would have been great if A-Rich was playing, but I feel like the Chargers are the better move here versus the Browns.
I agree. I actually don't like either of these matchups. I think both of these teams that they're playing against is going to score. I would rather see if you can pick up the Saints defense. I would rather have the Chiefs defense right now. I know a lot of people may disagree with that. I would rather have Detroit's defense if Malik Willis plays, if you want to take that risk. That's kind of where I would be going right now.
Yeah. If those are his best options, though, then who are
If those are your best options, I will go with the Vikings because I think Joe Flacco could make more mistakes.
Okay. Yeah. Appreciate you, Jovian. And then, do we have any other questions on the site before we go to YouTube? I know we have that team review. Okay, so no more questions on the site. If you guys want to prioritize your questions, definitely check out the pinned comment. I'll put a link here in the chat as well for you to prioritize those questions. Let's go over to Super Chats now.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for donating here on YouTube. It's been awesome.
And the first one, is that Michael? Is he the first one?
Yeah, Michael. He said traded Waddle and Hubbard for Mooney. I have Hill. I'm personally okay with this trade. I think this was a good. I think maybe I think I'm okay with this trade.
Yeah. I'm indifferent.
I was gonna say
indifferent.
I was gonna say I wonder if you could have gotten more, but I don't think you could have. I think Waddle, when he does bounce back, I think is gonna be a value where David Montgomery is, and Hubbard. The expectation is that it's either going to be a 50-50 backfield or Jonathan Brooks is going to take over, which we don't know. But we're going to have to wait and see. So I guess you'll find out if you would be upset about that. Brett, he says, I've been stuck on this decision. Need to pick up a bye week tight end fill in for Kittle, drop Sharp, Corm, or Warren. I have Kyron. Thanks for the help. For me, this would be Zach Charbonnet.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, they're kind of, outside of Jaylen Warren, they're kind of all the same thing. Like, if there was, I'll be honest, guys, I know they haven't done really anything. Well, Charbonnet has, but to be honest with you, if Corum or Charbonnet were on any of the waivers in my leagues, I would, make sure I pick them up straight away. Because if the guy ahead of them goes down, I've got a potential league winner for the playoffs, and Warren is more of a standalone value, but he doesn't have that same upside, I don't think. So that's a tough one to answer, but I do overall agree with you. I'd pick up Charbonnet, but man, if Ken Walker has a serious injury, I think you're going to have a lot of regrets. But
no, I get it.
Overall, I agree with that, assuming health.
Tex, he says trade Pickens and Shakira for Olave. Yes, I want Chris Olave. Need to make room for Collins IR. Have Stroud, Love, and Stafford or Darnold worth an empty slot stream. So let's start there. So yes, I think Zach would agree to get Chris Olave for Pickens and Shakira.
I'm not 100% sure, to be honest.
Okay.
I do have Olave ranked higher than Pickens rest of season, but watching Russell Wilson play with this team, Pickens looks on track to be a potential league winner. I mean, yeah, he had 11 points on Sunday Night Football versus your Giants, but he should have had 2 touchdowns on top of that, right? It should have been a 2-touchdown game. One was called back because of a hands to the face. That's crazy. I mean, you add that touchdown in there, his point total is almost at 20 already. Add in another touchdown, he almost had 28. That would be back-to-back games over 22 fantasy points. So it just feels like Russell Wilson looks like he's playing his best ball since Seattle. And look at the playoff matchups for Pickens: Philly, Ravens, and then Chiefs, which is going to be tough. But I don't want him in Week 17 when it matters the most. But he has Baltimore twice upcoming. He has Cincinnati. Cleveland's been a great matchup too. Yeah, I don't know, dude. I mean, I think Pickens, we got to look at him differently than what we have been.
That's fair. I would still
The reason I have trouble with the trade is because I can't tell you with conviction that Pickens outscores Olave rest of season. I think he could, but I can't tell you that with conviction. Do you know what I mean? There's not like this gut feeling. I'm like, yeah, Olave is definitely going to outscore Pickens rest of season. I don't know that.
Sure.
So that's what makes it tough. And I'd like to do this trade, but is Olave the best name that we can get? Can we find our way into a Puka or a Cup? Can we find our way into a Debo who's right now dealing with injuries and on a bye? Can you go get a Mike Evans and wait on him to come back? Do you know what I mean? Like clear options where it's like, yeah, I definitely feel like that player is the best option.
Okay.
So,
yeah, look, that's fair. I would still go Olave. I understand Pickens, could have had that. I mean, let's see if he does it again. I think consistency is key, not just for George Pickens, but also for Russell Wilson. And they did it in 2 games straight. Get it? I get it. He could have had 2 touchdowns. I think at the end of the day, I still want Chris Olave. There's no Rashid Shaheed. There's no other options there in that offense. And obviously Najee is getting on a roll, and they're starting to use Calvin Austin, which was interesting, even though they really only used him, target him once when he caught that deep ball, so it doesn't really technically matter. But I understand your perspective.
Yeah. Right now, Russ is playing like the way, and I don't want to sound like crazy, but I feel like this is potential for a DK Metcalf in Seattle. That's what it feels like to me. So it's just tough, but I get it if you just want, like, Olave has more of a brand name, but do I know for sure he's going to outscore him? I don't know that. I mean, is there an argument to be made that Pickens has better quarterback play? I don't know. Like, I think you could actually make that argument. So overall, like, personally, I'm just too indifferent on it. I'd love to use Shakir in a deal to tier up, but I'm too indifferent on that name. But sorry. So the rest of the question,
the second part of the question, you have Stroud and Love. Are Stafford or Darnold worth an empty slot stream? Yeah, look, I would be streaming Stafford and Darnold over Stroud this week with no Stephon Diggs. I think if Stephon Diggs was there, I would have done it with no hesitation. But that's what I would personally be doing. And I hate when my quarterback starts on Thursday night. It's probably the worst. And I know this is a home game for them. I would rather start Matthew Stafford and Sam Darnold with a higher upside. I think it's gonna be a tough matchup personally.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. We did get a question on the site, so let's go there first. As you guys know, if we get questions on the website, that's where we will go first. I'll put a link in the chat if you want to check out the website. First one's a trade question from Manny. One side gets Debo, AJ Brown, and Auten. The other side gets Jefferson and DJ Moore. So, in a 14-team league, that's a pretty big format. I think I just want to keep, like, with respect to DJ, I like his schedule, but he's, in my opinion, very easily the worst wide receiver in this deal. So there's a similar range of outcome for AJ and JJ rest of season. I would definitely bet on Debo over DJ with no Ayuk. And then Auten is kind of treated as a throw-in, but I don't think he should be. So I'm going to keep the Debo and AJ Brown side of this deal.
I agree. I don't think Auten should be the guy that you should be getting in the throw-in. You already have Travis Kelce. Am I reading this right? No, you don't. You're sending away Kate on. Okay. Let me just reassess that. Looking at this team. Okay, yes. I would agree. I'm keeping Debo, AJ Brown, because I think AJ Brown and Justin Jefferson, if you look at when AJ Brown is on the field outside of last week, He's been averaging over 22, nearly
Yeah,
22, 21
he's been
points per
unreal.
game right now. And Debo's the number one option there where, yeah, DJ Moore, you don't know what the hell's going to happen. So I
Yeah.
agree.
And I brought DJ Moore up as a trade target in today's video, but it was more as like a flex, not as like your wide receiver 2 that you're relying on type of move. Because DJ Moore owners are panicking, and I don't blame them. It's been really weird. So yeah, I mean overall, I do feel like there's just a lot more value on the Debo, AJ Brown, Otton side personally, especially in a 14-team league, a deeper format. All right, we got to start sit from Trent. He says good options, but not sure who for my 2 flexes. Starting Kyler, Brees, Bijan, DJ Terry, Trey McBride. At flex, they're considering Kareem Hunt or names like Rachaad White, Tyrone Tracy, Cedric Tillman. You actually have a lot of options, which makes this very tough at flex. This is another team I would suggest doing a bit of consolidation. And what do I mean by that? I mean, you're a team that could package DJ Moore and Kareem Hunt and try and go upgrade at wide receiver. And then when you get that wide receiver upgrade, you can still start names like Rachaad White or Tillman or Tyrone in your flex spot. So overall, yeah. But with these options, it's really close between Rachaad White, Tyrone, and Kareem for me, looking at all these options. The matchup, oddly enough, is not good for the Bucs running backs, but I'm throwing the matchup out the window personally because it feels like their entire offense is funneling through those running backs. They both had over 6 targets per game. First game without Chris Godwin. Now, Kareem Hunt is a fine option. Do they face
they play each other. So Kareem and Rachaad White play each other.
Okay, sorry. I need to tell our devs that the Kareem Hunt is still showing as a Brown on my side of weekly rankings. Sorry, that's what messed me up. But yeah.
No, that's okay. For me, I'll tell you in order. This will be Kareem, Tyrone, and then Rachaad on if Tyrone plays. I know Zach said he's throwing the matchup out the window because they are funneling through the running back room. I just like what Tyrone's doing. He's clear the RB1 there. Rachaad White is splitting time. Not only does he get all the touches on the ground, but he gets the touches in the air as well if he is cleared to play. So for me, this would be Kareem and Tyrone. But at the same time, if Tyrone doesn't play, you kind of want this to be the decision, because it kind of makes the decision for you to start Rachaad White and Kareem Hunt. But that's where I would be going personally.
Yeah.
Against Washington, a division matchup, they play at home for the Giants, which technically has been terrible.
I honestly don't even know how you're supposed to answer this question because they're all the same tier of players. I honestly want to make a trade. I really, really think your best move is to make a trade before this week. Again, use Tyrone and DJ. Use Kareem and DJ. Use Tillman and DJ. But upgrade somewhere and make this decision a little bit easier on yourself because, like, we can even add Rico in here. These guys all have the same range of outcomes. Ceiling floor, Kareem, Tyrone, Rachaad, Cedric, Rico. So I really, really think you need to go and consolidate this roster, but yeah, I think probably what I would do here. Are you going to start one of these running backs over Ladd? Feels like they have a safer floor than Ladd.
I
start
am
Tyrone over Ladd, and then I will put Kareem as my starting running back there in the flex.
Yeah, that's actually a good question. I actually would start both of those running backs over Ladd. I don't love Ladd McConkey's matchup. They play the Browns. The secondary technically has been pretty decent.
It's been a great matchup actually recently.
On paper, technically, yeah. But yes, I get what you're saying. I would personally still go the running backs over Ladd. But if this is PPR. I know Ladd just had a really big game, which I was telling a lot of people to start him last week as well. Um, yeah, I'm going to running backs actually.
Yeah. Tough call, man. Tough call. I really, really, again, think you need to consolidate there. All right, we do have another question here that just popped through. Let's have a geese. And 2 questions, actually. The first one is a start sit from Kurt. What's up, Kurt? He says, I was offered Chase Brown for downs. Thoughts since my running backs are not ideal. Chase Brown for downs. I think we've had that question one more time this week as well. I think that's pretty fair, but your running backs are not ideal at all.
No, they're not. So I was offered Chase Brown for downs.
Oh, so he would send away Downs.
No, I'm keeping Josh Downs.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is Chase Brown a clear upgrade over what he already has though? Like, I think it just makes things murkier.
No, it's not.
I'd rather just start Rashad, and I just think that makes things murkier in my opinion. And then I'm clearly gonna flex Downs over all the options he has here. I love Mooney, but I'm gonna flex Downs over all those other options.
For me, this would still be Darnell Mooney. Those guys are really close and back-to-back in my rankings. But I agree. Rashad White and then Darnell Mooney for me, and then Josh Downs for Zach.
And I would try and package like Zay Flowers and Javonte to try and upgrade at wide receiver if you can. Just get out of that situation if you're able to.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, Kurt. All right. A $20 start sit. Appreciate you, man. I'm going to give you a free trade question voucher as a thank you. Thanks for that extra support. Peepov says, hi again, guys. Not sure what to do after Deontay trade. Not a lot of depth right now. Thank you. So one quarterback, 12 team start 7. We're starting Jordan Love, James Conner, Javonte Williams. Are you starting Javonte over these options? I'm not sure I am.
If Travis Etienne doesn't play, I'm starting Tank over Javonte.
What if he does play?
I'll start Travis Etienne over Javonte then.
Yeah, I think so too. I think I would.
I don't want to start Javonte. I don't want to start Javonte against that Ravens defense personally, and I know the Bucks kind of showed that a little bit differently the past couple weeks, but I'm still going those running backs or Travis over.
At wide receiver, I think you have to start Zay Flowers and Amon-Ra. And then at the flex spot, my goodness. Man, when Nico Collins comes back, it's going to make your decision a lot easier here.
Yeah, at the flex spot, this is where I would go DeAndre Hopkins. I just feel like his upside is the highest there. I feel like Jalen McMillan's floor could, or technically Rico Dowdle's floor could technically be the safest. But I'm gonna go DeAndre Hopkins. Playing Monday night, it's primetime game. They play the Bucks. I'm not excited to start any of these guys, but that's where I would go.
All right. Yeah, man, this sucks. I just don't know what to do. I almost feel like Rico has a safer floor.
Yeah, he does. He has the safest floor out of all those guys.
Yeah. So if you feel like you're gonna win, I'd play Rico over D Hop. If you feel like you need that extra upside, I'd play D Hop. But you are absolutely a team that should consolidate, right? I'd package any number of the Deontay Johnsons and Ricos and Javontes and Tanks, to upgrade and get a really good RB2. Swap out Zay Flowers or D Hop in some of these deals. I mean, I just feel like you need to do like 3 2-for-1 deals with this roster, in my opinion.
Yeah.
All right. Is that all the questions on the website? Let me double check. I think that's it. Yeah, let's go back.
All right. Paul Ski is the next one. He says Deontay or Jacoby rest of season. I mean, this is a great question. I think Jacoby Myers does just get those targets now. Jacoby Myers is what Deontay Johnson was for the Panthers. So
Jacoby for sure.
He gets peppered with targets. So That's what
I mean, yeah, he's been really great. I actually talked about him on the trade video today. His playoff schedule is incredible. Let me show you guys this. In the playoffs, Jacoby Myers gets Atlanta, Jacksonville, New Orleans, which is about as good as it gets in the playoffs, to be honest. And yeah, with Deontay Johnson, I don't think he's the wide receiver 3 there like it's being reported, but I do think it's disgusting. I absolutely hate it. So yeah, that's where I stand.
Yeah. I am there with you. The next, I think Michael, he just sent like my hero type of thing. I'm not sure if he has a question there.
Did we see any question? I saw a question and then it was deleted.
Yeah, and then it was deleted,
and then
he
another
did it
one
again.
that was deleted. Okay, here
okay,
he
so I
is.
see one. Yeah, it says right in PPR need 1 flex, 1 running back from Croker, Parker Washington, Noah Brown, Dowdle, Moss. Evans out and Debo and Kittle on bye. I'm 4-4 and need most upside 20-point underdog help. Okay, so you need 1 flex and
Dowdle.
1 running back. So
Dowdle.
yes, it'll be Rico Dowdle, and at the flex, Croker, Washington, Noah Brown. For me, this would be Jalen.
So you go Coker.
Yeah.
Is Adam Thielen coming back or not?
I think he is participating.
That is scary.
I think.
I'm gonna go Parker
Limited
Washington.
on Wednesday.
There's a chance that we don't see Brian Thomas, but regardless, Parker Washington, you and I loved him. He has that running back profile at 5'10". I think 210 is what he came out of Penn State. Great hands. He played out of the slot primarily at Penn State, and since they drafted him, there's just been no opportunity for him to be the slot wide receiver. So I'm going to lean Parker, especially with injuries to the rest of this team, and them facing, who was it, Philadelphia. So I'm going to go Parker and Rico, but that's a tough one. That's a really tough one.
I would go Parker if there's no Brian Thomas, but if there is, I know it doesn't really affect Parker and like where he's going to be playing the ball, but I would still go Coker.
Okay. By the way, we got another super chat from Michael, and I'm wondering if there's another question in the chat from him. Do you see another one?
He goes, in my Dynasty Superflex, 13-3, need 1 flex. It's just like under that one. I think that might be it.
Tillman, Javonte Laporta, or Tolbert. Kelsey's my tight end. Okay, so this would be Tillman for me. I'm totally aware that this wave could screw us over, but I'm gonna ride this wave until it stops with Tillman.
I agree. I agree.
He just has the upside that you haven't seen from a Javonte or Laporta consistently. Neither of those guys have had back-to-back weeks where they've been incredible like he has. So I'm gonna go Tillman there.
Okay, no, I'm going Laporta. Sorry, I was reading Tillman or Tolbert for some reason. I just completely skipped over Javonte and Laporta.
All right.
I'm still going Sam Laporta. I can understand your thought process, but I'll still go Laporta for me.
Yeah, Laporta's best day is 16 points this year, and that was without Jameson Williams on tight end day. I mean, Tillman's had back-to-back weeks over 10 targets per. If you average it out, over 18 points. I get it. I'm just gonna go Tillman. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Thanks for the donation. Roman Lamagna.
It's Chaz Chisholm, boys. Sorry.
Who's that?
Roman Lamagna. Yankee, great. Not jokes. I really don't know that guy. So I think he has a cool name, Chaz Chisholm. Sorry. Go ahead. I apologize.
It says just added Downs today. Start him or Marv. Ooh. That's getting hot now.
Super hot fire. Look, I'm still going Marvin Harrison. It's technically a bad matchup, a tough matchup. But that's where I'm still going. I think you saw this offense really. Juan Carlo. I think you still, you saw them really get him into this offense. They were really creating ways to get him the ball. He's still the number 1 target. It can be either Josh Downs or Michael Pittman next week. Adonai Mitchell. I'm not saying that is going to be the case, but I'm still going with Martin Harrison, excuse me.
So I just looked at my rankings. They're back to back, and I do have Downs 1 spot ahead. So I would go Downs.
Oh boy.
I've told a lot of people to sit wide receivers versus Chicago Bears, and it's worked out a lot of times, especially when there's been a lack of consistency. So that's my rationale. Love the match. It's the best matchup for your wide receiver for Josh Downs. I think the Vikings are going to be able to score. They're going to need Josh Downs the entire game. And with Marv, look, he can definitely overcome the matchup, but they're back to back. I just think it's a gut call ultimately.
Sure,
Safe and
it is.
Sound says picked up Downs from waivers. St. Brown is wide receiver 1, Mooney is wide receiver 2, Flowers is at the flex, and Downs the wide receiver 2 or flex. I'd start Downs over Mooney personally. I don't think Badaki would, but I would start Downs over Mooney. He's averaging over 19 points per game with Joe Flacco playing quarterback. So for me, it would be Mooney who I would sit, and I'd start Flowers and Downs over him.
Yeah, I would be starting Mooney over Downs. Those guys are close in my rankings. They're actually back to back. I said that earlier. For me, I think the argument could even be said like, should Zay Flowers be sat here as well? Kind of like with Marvin about, they playing the Broncos. I know Zay Flowers really plays in the middle of the field. But that's something that I would be also considering. But I'm still starting Zay Flowers.
Yeah, I think I just don't know how much Deontay will be involved this week. Manny says start 2 Hubbard, Chase Brown, J.K., Dell, Chubb, Shakir. So you have to start 2 of these names. It's Chase Brown for sure.
100%. I'm starting Tank Dell over J.K., over Chubb, over Shakir, and over Hubbard.
Yeah, that's tough. I hate J.K.'s matchup, but he just is getting
the Browns.
So many touches.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Dell, I think you can almost make the case that Hubbard is the safest name outside of Chase Brown. I'm going to go Hubbard and Chase Brown versus Saints, which has been one of the best matchup for your running backs. Yeah, my answer would be Chuba Hubbard and Chase Brown, your first 2 names. Jonathan Plummer, Dynasty Rebuild, trade Downs, Bigsby, Kmet for a Dunze.
I personally would say that I would do this trade. And it's just purely based off how I see this offense moving in the future. I don't think Keenan Allen is going to be the long-term answer. He's clearly not the long-term answer. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's no longer on this team. It's going to be Rome Odunze, DJ Moore, which will then bring him more opportunity. I think Caleb could easily take another big step going into 2025, which we kind of see him progressing on a week-to-week basis, which has been great. I love Cole Kmet. Tank Bigsby is interesting, but is he really the guy over Travis Etienne? Now, if Travis Etienne gets traded, that's a whole different conversation. But
you would massively regret this.
I would massively regret this if he does get traded, because he also has been a trade candidate or in the trade rumors.
I think,
but I would want Rome Odunze.
If I'm not mistaken, this week is the deadline.
Is the deadline? Yes, exactly. So either he gets traded now or he gets traded in the off season. But do you think Tank Bigsby is talented enough for this team to not draft a running back in a strong running back class?
I think they want 2 running backs, so I would imagine they draft someone who's like a pass catching specialist,
like or bring somebody in. Yeah, exactly. So I think regardless, I don't want Downs if we're really breaking it down deeply.
I want Downs desperately in Dynasty, but it's really Bigsby and Kmet. They're kind of they're just non-influential in the way you're going to build your Dynasty team. No disrespect to Kmet, but I just don't think he's an influential pillar. So this is about as even as it gets, I'd say. This really is. Odunze, there's no reason to question his draft capital, or there's no reason to question his talent. He is still getting open at a higher rate. He still looks very good with opportunities. It's just they don't have opportunities. Shout out to Shane Waldron. It's not that surprising, actually.
Shout out to Shaney. Come on, man.
I'll take a Odunze here, but I would really prefer to find a way to do the deal where I don't give Downs away. And I assume that's not going to happen because Downs is the most impactful player there. But
what about, let me ask you this. What if it was Downs in a second? Downs in a projected early second.
I'd rather keep the early second.
With like Josh Downs in the early second.
No, I meant like I'd rather keep my second and send away the Bigsby Komet side of the deal.
No, no, but I'm saying to make it more enticing. Let's say you don't like. Let's just say this was Josh Downs and a second for Roma Dunze. Because I know you were talking about Josh Downs and like you really want to trade for him. That makes this trade harder.
It does, but what are the odds? I don't know enough about the class yet.
Yeah, I know, which is difficult.
The depth is worth it. Like in last year's class, I definitely would have done that deal. No, I'm gonna keep a Dunze here. I'm not gonna overthink this. I'm gonna keep a Dunze.
Okay.
AI says pick 2 full PPR: Madison, DeMario, Tillman, Brooks, and DJ. I'm assuming Deontay Johnson, or is that DJ Moore? If it's DJ Moore, I'm gonna go DJ Moore and Tillman. And if that is Deontay Johnson, I'm going to go Tillman and Madison.
Yep, I completely agree with you.
LeVar Ball, triple B's in the chat.
There's no one better. No, what did he say? Dude, I mean, with all due respect, you were kind of talking up your kids. I don't really watch basketball, but I don't hear their name often.
LaMelo is great. LaMelo is a very good player. But
imagine this is actually him. That'd be hilarious if it actually is. But
not, actually.
I know it's not. But I know nothing about basketball, so I can't.
If it is, send me some of them triple B's, baby.
If it is, why only 10? No, I'm messing with you. That's so messed up. We appreciate you though. 10-man start 7. Jettas, Garrett, Koopa, Gibbs, JT, D-Hop, Evans, Chad, Bucky, Chase Brown, Madison, Ferguson.
Chad? Who is Chad? Who is that?
Maybe Lad? The Chad. We'll figure that out. Let's keep reading. Rashad.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, Shad. Okay, Sean, Bucky, Chase Brown, Madison Ferguson, Josh Allen at quarterback. How do I consolidate talent, trade targets, and who do I deal?
This is actually pretty simple in my opinion. The names you're wanting to package into deals. For example, like I want to package a DeAndre Hopkins and a Garrett Wilson and go get an elite top 8 name.
Yeah.
I want to package whoever gets you more return between Bucky and Rashad. I'd use that name and I'd add it to a Chase Brown and go get a superstar running back, a top 15 consensus name. You can do the same thing for Madison. You can honestly package, if you want to just upgrade at tight end, use Jake Ferguson and Bucky, or Jake Ferguson and Rashad, and go that direction as well. But names that you're not moving: Justin Jefferson, Kupp, Gibbs, JT, Evans. Outside of that, everyone, and Josh Allen. Outside of that, everybody is a tier up option, right? So,
yep.
Finding teams that need depth in a start 7 doesn't matter at all to your team. So packaging names like Chase and Garrett Wilson, or Bucky and Garrett Wilson, Rashad and Garrett Wilson, Rashad and Madison, Bucky and Madison, Chase and Madison, Ferg and Madison, Ferg and Chase, Ferg and Bucky, Ferg and Shad. So that's really the way that you would go about upgrading that team.
Yeah, heavy hitters. That's kind of what our motto has been when you have like a start 7 type of team. Absolute heavy hitters. You go out and get the top 5 positions at each and every the top 5 position in each and every position if you possibly can. You already have Josh Allen as one of the 5. You have Justin Jefferson as one of the 5. Can you get another running back or another wide receiver? You have Jahmyr Gibbs, arguably Cooper Kupp, and Jonathan Taylor as one of the top 5 in those positions. So go out and get another top 5 guy in that position, or whatever position you deemed you need more in. Yeah. So yeah, appreciate the super chat, and I hope the kids have a good season. Serge says, I traded James Cook and Higgins for King Henry. I like it as well. I would just say this: if this is like a 12 start 12, I don't like it. Because I think James Cook and Higgins, when healthy, is really going to help your team. But in a start 7, start 8, I would definitely do this trade. So this is great.
All right, that's all the donations for now. I want to get this team review done over on the Flock site. So I think we should go there next. Is that cool?
Yeah, let's do that.
But by the way, I saw someone Tex Raider says, "My bad. At the end of the chat, I asked Pat or Jonu. Might have missed that. It was a super chat.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I go Pat Fryermuth there, but but is that rest of season? Because Pat's not playing this week. It'd have to be Jonu if it's this week, but rest of season, I'd go Pat.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you're looking for other options at the tight end position to stream, Noah Fant, Dalton Schultz, that's probably the only two I would be looking at. Maybe Will Disley. I know he had a one good game, and then he had two decent games actually. I think he had like 8 points if I'm not mistaken. So those are some names I would rather stream if you do need another tight end. But yes, I would go Jonu because there's no Pat.
By the way, if you can see the middle of your screen, top middle of your screen, we're getting close. I'm getting close, guys. I think it'll happen in the next 3 or so days. We'll hit 40K, which would be incredible. Currently 188, right? That checks out.
Yeah.
188 subscribers away. Wow, that's actually kind of crazy. 187 now. From 40K. You guys are awesome. I appreciate you big time.
Yeah, man. Huge love, guys.
All right, we're going to
Awesome.
review a Dynasty team here. If you guys want your team reviewed, whether you are in Redraft or Dynasty or whatever the case may be, ESPN, Yahoo, Sleeper, if you're on NFL.com, you can submit screenshots. Then that's available to you. And when you're a member, you actually get discounts off the team review, like Crush has gotten here. But this is a Dynasty team. It's a 2-quarterback, 12-team start 11. Why don't you read the context, and I'll bring up what that means for team construction.
Yeah, it says the tight end premium for this league is 2 point per catch. So that's a huge premium in a league like this. I just traded away Anthony Richardson and Terry for Brock Purdy, Jerry Jeudy, in a 26-second. How should I go about improving my team? Okay, before I even look at this team, trading away Anthony Richardson and Terry for Brock Bowers, I'm assuming, Jerry Jeudy in a 26-second.
In a 2 point per reception tight end format. That's
cheat code. Tremendous. That is crazy. And this is a 2-quarterback league, which I understand, but Anthony Richardson I don't
think he's done, by the way. Like, I still think he has a chance to develop and be the starting quarterback of the team moving forward. But we are kind of like now getting closer to the Justin Fields era, where it's like, okay, can he develop? Can he be the guy to your future? How long do you invest into him? You have to think about a second contract in a year or two if that's going to be worth it. So overall, I like just the idea of getting off of that in a 2 point per reception tight end premium format to get a Brock Bowers. I think that's incredible. So start 11, by the way, I put it in the chat. He can start up to 6 receivers. It's a huge deep format. It's 12 team. It's start 11. That's about as big as these leagues get typically. So really deep format, a lot of premiums like the tight end premium that we mentioned. But why don't we go ahead and have a look at his team? His team is Crush 5, and he's currently...
I do not see that team. He might have changed it, so I'm looking for Brock Bowers. Lady Killer, I think.
Yeah, okay, well, does he have Jerry Jeudy as well as Brock Bowers?
I do not see Jerry Jeudy, but he has Terry again on this team. Crush, if you are in the chat, which most likely you are in the chat, let us know if you are here and what is your team name.
A while ago, might have to do this on a different stream.
Man,
I'm gonna send him I'm gonna send him a voucher to resubmit.
What is there any details in that review? Is there like a message there? Let me just pull it up. No, he's not. It's not. League name. Mayo. What's the team name? Team name. Oh no, DLEL Force is DLE26. Let's see. Yeah, so he's second.
Wait.
So if you go back to the main screen, like under review, and click on his name,
team name can see Leffler 26. Okay, right.
Yeah, okay. So I'm looking at this team, and this team doesn't have Brock Bowers.
Okay. Well, we're gonna we need to send him another. We need to send him a voucher. It's confusing, honestly.
Maybe
I don't want to waste
trade,
his time and ours.
Sure, that's what I'm saying. Maybe that trade technically happened, but didn't go through when he did this. Do you get what I'm saying? He submitted it, and it probably didn't update with the trades.
No, it would have updated. It's pulling it from Sleeper.
Maybe it's a glitch or something.
All right, I'm gonna give him a voucher and tell him to come back because I want to give him a good review. And right now it's confusing. Do you still have Jerry Jeudy? Have you not done the trade yet? This is probably your team, but I don't want to risk it and spend like 10 minutes talking about someone's team if it's not their team.
Yeah, like this team doesn't even have Anthony Richardson on it. This team does have Jerry Jeudy.
That's why it's confusing. So, there's no A-Rich, but there's a Jeudy, and there's still a Terry, right? Or no, Terry's gone. But where's Brock Bowers? So, okay, yeah.
Exactly.
We're not going to review this team yet. Hopefully he watches this. I'm going to give him a team review voucher. And I'm just going to tell him in the chat, like, hey, man, watch the stream. We gave you a free team review voucher because we were a bit confused on some of the details. Didn't want to give you a review without actually understanding everything first. All love. It's Brock Purdy, not Bowers. Is that the confusion? That is the confusion. Okay, we're idiots. All right. It's Brock Purdy, not Bowers. He has Brock Purdy on his team. We just sent him a team review on accident then.
A-Rich and Terry for Brock, Jeudy in the 26 second. Okay. Well, GG's.
That makes a lot more sense. The problem was the entire time that we aren't very smart.
I would say then we won't review this one. Let him resubmit it.
Yeah.
With any other information.
Just resubmit it. That way, there's not a double count there. Sorry, Crush.
Exactly.
Sorry, honestly, that's our incompetence. So that's what you get sometimes.
I'm pretty sure they have unlimited text here in team reviews. But try and put as much information, first name, last name, unless it's pretty obvious, like Jerry, right? Like Jerry Jeudy. But anyways, we appreciate you. So thank you so much, though.
All right. We got a super chat here from GM. And they said, order 4 flex. It's a tight end premium. Hawkinson, Cooper, and Pittman. This for me would be Pittman. Then
Pittman, Cooper, Hawkinson for me.
I guess
even in the premium.
I just really don't know what to think about Hawkinson coming back, so I'll go Pittman, Cooper, Hawkinson. Pittman's the only one I have confidence in this week, though.
Yeah, I understand.
All right, guys. I think what we'll do is we'll finish the stream by answering 5 random questions. I appreciate you, Demeets. Hands down, best fantasy analysis on YouTube. Appreciate you, man. All right, let's answer 5 questions at random to end the stream here.
Yeah, let's do that.
Elsie says, do I play Deontay Johnson, Downs, or McMillan? This would be Downs for me. Trade away Downs. Keep Brooks, Jeudy. I mean, I would not trade away Downs unless you have an incredible offer. I think he has potential league-winning upside. All right. That was 1 out of 5. Stockton says, I was sour about your take on Javonte Williams a few weeks ago, but I grabbed Tillman from your request, and I take back everything I said. The thing is, each and every week, my opinion on Javonte Williams will look either stupid or great, because each and every week, Sean Payton will decide whether he's a workhorse or not. This week he is. This week he's not. It's a perfect matchup, he'll bust. It's a bad matchup, he'll go off. It just doesn't matter.
Javonte is on his last Javonte Williams contract. He's on his last year of his contract. Am I mistaken there?
Well, he wasn't a first round pick. I don't know if it's been 4 years, but
I'm just pulling it up here because yeah, he's a free agent right now. Look, I mean, I'm a Giants fan. I've been looking at Tankathon already. um, Denver currently has the 22nd pick of the season ended today. I think Ashton is most likely going to be like a top 15 pick.
well, honestly, I don't think anyone can really predict that situation right now.
No,
It's
I know.
impossible, but
I know.
do I trade
Lots of
Johnson?
people.
Yeah, trade Deontay Johnson if you can. We have no interest in Deontay Johnson moving forward, and I could be wrong. I don't have any interest personally. Okay, I saw a question that I wanted to answer. It's Colo. So the question is no NFL fantasy, and I assume that's relating to the Flock Fantasy website. And if you guys are out there and you play on the NFL.com fantasy app, you have to know that NFL.com fantasy app is the only fantasy app that doesn't allow their information to be public. So it's not an issue with us not having NFL.com. The issue is NFL.com is the only app that won't give out public information. It's the only one. So, yeah, switch from NFL.com. It's a shit app, to be honest with you, quite frankly. And they don't give their information out publicly. So even if you wanted to like go to Fantasy Pros or a different website and enter your information in NFL.com, most likely you're not going to be able to because, again, they don't give their information publicly. But he says, should I go with Swift at my flex? Yeah, he's a great option this week. Should I start Marvin at wide receiver 2? Yeah, I'd start Marvin and Swift over both of the names that you mentioned there.
Agreed.
That's question 3 out of 5, right? Let's see. Patrick just donated, and he says he's a 7-1 team. He has his roster here. It's a decent roster, and he says trade Pollard for Brian Thomas. So if he loses Pollard, he would have Jahmyr Gibbs. He would have Javonte Williams, Chase Brown, Bucky Irving.
And Bucky Irving.
And at wide receiver, he has A.J. Brown, Waddle, Higgins, Tillman. I like Brian Thomas over Pollard rest of the season as an asset, but I think you need more help at running back than wide receiver. That's what makes this tough.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I feel like maybe if you can package like a Pollard and a Brown or Pollard and an Irving and see what you can go out and get, or Pollard and like a Tillman.
The second part of that is Tillman and Irving for Dobbins. So I think he has 2 trades lined up. What I would say is I like the idea, but I don't like the execution. I love Dobbins, but him and like now that Godwin's out for the year, Bucky is a very valuable name. So I think I like the idea. I don't like the execution. You need to go higher than a Dobbins. So yeah, I do the Pollard deal for Brian Thomas if you have another deal lined up at running back, but you need to aim a little bit higher than Pollard or than Dobbins. Like I'll give you some names here. You need to aim a little higher, like a Brian Robinson, a Swift, Connor Cook. So yeah. Appreciate you, Patrick.
I'm okay with that.
All right, 2 more questions at random. Dewey. I had a friend in high school. I can't remember. High school feels like an entire eternity ago. But
that's a long time ago.
His name was Dewey, and that's why I'm answering this one. For 1 wide receiver and 2 flexes. So basically, we're gonna pick 3. And alternatively, we could just say sit 2. Let's just say that. Sit 2 of these names.
Well,
that's Amari for me and Reed for me, assuming
Jordan Love doesn't play. Are you starting Amari over Reed if Brian Thomas doesn't play?
No, I'd start Reed still.
Yeah, that's where I would go as well. So hopefully that helps.
Last one of the day is Eli the Reaper, who says, my flex is Wan'Dale and Tillman this week. It's not a question, actually. So,
just a statement, really.
that could be worse. Sorry, that's not even a question. Let's try and find one more to end on. How about Javrin? That's such a unique name. Ramondre or Hunt in the long run? I think you got to go Ramondre just because of the concerns about Pacheco long term. But
Pacheco potentially.
If I knew Pacheco would be out rest of season, it'd be Kareem Hunt pretty easily.
Yeah, look, if we get a report any in the coming weeks of like, hey, Pacheco is not on track to come back until like week 14 or 15, I think we would want Kareem Hunt in the long run, because that means he's really not going to impact. At least in my opinion, he's not going to impact Kareem Hunt for the fantasy playoffs.
Yeah.
Can take a couple weeks to still get back, but hopefully that helps.
All right, guys, that's it for
Appreciate you,
today. Go check out the trade video on our channel. Also, I'd highly encourage you to subscribe to our Dynasty channel if you have yet to do so. Our Dynasty channel is going to start to dominate our time probably like late December onwards. So if you want to stay with us for the entire season, we don't stop talking about fantasy. We don't stop talking about the NFL. The draft is what we're about to start talking about. So
I'm already looking at it. Oh boy.
If you want to subscribe over there to Dynastyland Football, we already released a video today about Dynasty trade targets. I've uploaded a video per week over the last 4 weeks. And we're actually, I think, if I'm not mistaken, like 10 subscribers away from 15K over there.
We're really close over there. So if you guys haven't subscribed to the Dynasty channel,
I think we actually just hit 15K. Let me refresh.
Did we actually?
Yeah, so let me double check here. 15K, which is awesome.
Okay, that's awesome. So we hit 15. That's exactly what you want to see. But hey, we appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for all of the support on the Dynasty channel and here on the Redraft channel. Honestly, couldn't be doing it without you guys, but
yeah,
love.
Big love, guys. See you soon.